Yes, children. Today we'll see we see the characteristics of protista. So after we start what next kingdom protista, because we have seen previous video about Munra. Now see what are the characteristic features of protista. They are unicellular and eukaryotic. They have eukaryotic type of cells. So see, you might have remembered in Monra, they were unicellular plus prokaryotic type of cells. Here they are unicellular and eukaryotic type of cells. So eukaryotic type of cells means all kinds of cell organelles, means nucleus will be developed and well defined. All parts of nucleus will be present. So that is called well defined nucleus, well developed nucleus. Along with eukaryotic cells are those kinds of cells in which all kinds of cell organelles, either single membranous or double membranous, all are present. Clear? If we see the next property of these protistans, so see their boundaries. This is very important. Boundaries of protista are not defined. See, this is very important part. The boundaries of protista are not defined. It means what? Because according to some scientists, these protists are autotrophic. They show autotrophic mode of nutrition. It means that this is the property of higher plants, because higher plants contain the chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and because of that they do the process of photosynthesis. So according to some scientists, they are grouped in a higher plants, but some scientists obey this is what protestan, because they can make the food material. So as per eukaryotic type of cells possessed by fungi, possessed by plantae, possessed by animalia. So because of this contradiction, what we can say, the boundaries of protista are not defined. Moving to they may be found in a fresh water or they are present in marine water. Clear? So probably this protista can be further divided into subclasses. For example, subdivision. See, if I write SP, B, C, D. SP, Superintendent of the Police. So S stands for slime mold, P stands for protozoans, B stands for what we say, SP, CDE, we can say CDE like that. So C stands for chrysophytes, D stands for dinoflagellate, and D stands for euglenoid. Clear? So these are the different SP, slime molds, protozoans, chrysophytes, the dinoflagellates, and the euglenoid. So this is the formula that you can SP and CDE. It's a progress A, B, C, D, E like that. So CDE. So it's easy to remember. Now children, so if we start one by one, if we see the characteristic features, where is my duster? If we see the characteristic feature, we'll see the first one about chrysophytes. Because what chrysophytes? See children, in chrysophytes, if we start about, take the example like diatoms and desmids. Diatoms and desmids. This desmids is called golden alga. What is called golden algae. Desmids and diatoms are the example. Here what we see, these are microscopics. Microscopics means that we need microscope to see them. And passively, they can be present in fresh water, and they can be also present in marine water. Most of them are photosynthetic. Not all, but most of them are what? Photosynthetic. They can perform the photosynthesis. They can move passively. Passively in the sense, I'm talking about passively in the sense they try to move along with the currents of water. And active motion, it means they can move against the current of the river. So they are passively moving. Now what is important part in case of these diatoms? See, diatom cell wall is overlapping with each other. The two kinds of cell walls are overlapping each other and they are forming a soap box like structure. And the cell wall is made up of a layer of silica. The silica is embedded inside the cell wall. Clear? This is very important. Silica, cell wall is embedded with the high amount of silica, and wherever these diatoms are present in that soil for a long period of time, there is a layer by depositions of soil, and that is called, what is the name of that soil? It's called diatomaceous soil. And this soil can be used for making polish, for the filtration of some oil, and for the filtration of syrup. In fact, if you see in ocean, we find maximum amount of diatoms present. So that is why this is called chief producers. You may note down, this is very important for any competition point of view. Diatoms are also called chief producers of the ocean, of the sea. Clear? And where silica is present. I think this is clear to everybody. Now moving to the next. Now next is what? We'll see the dinoflagellates. What is dinoflagellates? See children, dinoflagellates, when we talk about what? Mostly they are marine. They can live in salt water, that is the habitat, marine. And they are also maybe photosynthetic. Photosynthetic. See, as per the name, diflagellate, the two flagella are present, and one flagella will be at longitudinally present, and one is transversely. So with what? Longitudinally, one cilia we find like this, longitudinally, and one is transversely. So two flagella are present in case of these kind of flagellates. If we talk about the cell wall, the cell wall of these dinoflagellates are stiff and cellulose plates. What? That is made up of cellulose plates. Clear? It means that the layer is very stiff and hard in nature. Stiffness means it's very hard in nature. So This is the characteristics of dinoflagellate. The cell wall is what? Stiff cellulose plates. It's made up of stiff cellulose plates. Clear? These kinds of dinoflagellates are present in different in color. They may be yellow, they may be green, they may be red, they may be blue. So these dinoflagellates are different colors, and it is because they have the different main pigments. So on the basis of different kinds of pigmentations, the different kinds of dinoflagellates we have. If we talk about, if I say with an example, Goniolax. Goniolax is a red dinoflagellate. What is the characteristic features of this Goniolax? This multiply very rapidly, and because of the rapid multiplication of these Goniolax, the entire water is looking reddish, looking red. So it also responsible for red tides. Also responsible for red tides because of Goniolax. It's what? Because of the pigment, because of that kind of main pigment. I think this is clear to everybody. Now coming to the next, after we'll see euglenoid. What we'll see? Euglenoid. You must know about euglenoid. See the next one. Euglenoid. They can be live in fresh water, or they may be live in stagnant water. The water which cannot flow. If because of waterlogging condition, water is located at one place for the several days, that water is called stagnant water, where we find the maximum occurrence of this euglenoid. Clear? What is important part of this euglenoid? See, cell wall is not present. Listen carefully. Instead of the cell wall, there is a formation of a layer. Instead of the cell wall, there is a formation of a layer, and this layer is made up of what? Protein. That layer is made up of what? Protein. That layer is called pellicle. So pellicle is the layer that is made up of protein, proteinous layer, instead of cell wall, and because of this pellicle, the euglenoid becomes flexible in nature. It provides the flexibility, elasticity kinds of property can be seen. Clear? What is the important part? Euglenoid, the members of euglenoids may be autotrophic mode of nutrition show, and they also show the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, children. Then why? This is the big question. If I see an example of, if I say the example Euglena. Euglena is called the connecting link between plants and animals. And why reason be behind? Euglena, in presence of sunlight, it can perform photosynthesis, because that kind of chlorophyll pigment is possessed by Euglena like hair plants. But in absence of sunlight, Euglena cannot perform the photosynthesis. So that time it behaves like heterotrophs. It tries to search his predators. Got it? The same point. It's so autotrophic mode of nutrition as well as heterotrophic mode of nutrition, because it's depend on the availability of the light. Clear? Then after we are moving to the slime molds, where next is slime mold. I think this is clear. Next property goes to slime molds. See children, slime molds generally they can be present in fresh water, and they show heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic. Now in specifically heterotrophic they show saprophytic. saprophytic mode of nutrition. Saprophytic mode of nutrition means these kinds of individuals try to derive their food from dead and decaying substances. Listen, they try to take their food energy from dead and decaying substances. In fact, they try to move along with the decaying substances. And in fact, during favorable condition, these kinds of individuals aggregate. They try to aggregate and form what? Plasmodium. You must concentrate. Due to aggregation, due to accumulation, there is a production of what? Plasmodiums, and these plasmodiums during unfavorable condition try to that they can disperse, and during unfavorable condition try to make the fruit bodies. We say the fruiting bodies, and that fruiting bodies contain different kinds of spores. At the time of dispersal, these spores can be dispersed. So finally they were making fruiting body, and this in fruiting body spores are formed. And see, whenever the favorable condition will be not given, due to unfavorable condition, these spores can also make a layer around us, PK, as a cyst that protect the entire spores from the external unfavorable factors of the environment. And finally, due to favorable condition, the spores can be dispersed after rupturing that protective layer. Clear? So what this is saprophytic freshwater and aggregation called plasmodium. So this is all about the slime molds. And now the moving to the next, what is protozoans. Next is what? Protozoans. See children, protozoans, you may see they also present in the fresh water. Some protozoans also can be found in marine water. They also may be in a stagnant water. They can be present in stagnant water. Plus, they show heterotrophic mode of nutrition relative with the animals. But because of so many of characteristic features, these protozoans can be of different 4 types. It may be, the first is, you say, amoeboid protozoans, they may be flagellated protozoans, they may be ciliated protozoans, and they may be sporozoans. What is sporozoans? So these are different categories of sporozoans. Now we'll try to see one by one. We'll try to see. If we start with here, amoeboid, these are the categories in which individuals show heterotrophic mode of nutrition. They have pseudopodia as a locomotory organs. Very important, in amoeboid protozoans, they have pseudopodia as a locomotory organ, and they use to move from one place to other by using this pseudopodia. And this pseudopodia, that is why it's called false feet. And what is, they may be free living or they may be parasitic. If I'm talking about the free living, amoeba is the example, and parasitic, there is ant amoeba histolytica, which is cause a disease called red dysentery. Clear? It may be parasitic. Moving to the flagellated protozoans, we'll try to find the individuals that have the flagella. The flagella may be small, may be big, and they show sometime parasitic that can cause diseases. So for example, trypanosoma. Trypanosoma is the example that creates the problem of sleeping sickness, where flagellas are present, and because of that parasitic nature, they cause different kinds of diseases. Now ciliated, you might have heard about the paramecium. The paramecium have numerous cilia around the body, and they have some structures, cavities. That cavity is called gullet, G-U-L-L-E-T, gullet, and it opens at the outer surface, right? So this paramecium is the example of ciliated protozoans. And finally what? Sporozoans, where we find some spores, some parasitic nature of individuals are parasitic nature. And what? Plasmodium is the example. Plasmodium is the example which is responsible to cause the malaria as a disease in human body. So children, this is all about the Protista, but you need to see the NCERT also. If you have the side book, you may see different other terminologies, some other concepts are given. So this is all about. Next time I'll start the next about fungi. Thank you so much.